Temperature is 64 degrees on this beautiful night. And what you're looking at is 3 of 5 of my farms. And I'm going to be talking about a few things tonight. Things that I normally don't talk about. One is politics. But I have to talk about politics, what's happening with social media, especially TikTok. I'll get to that. I was watching another content creator's live today, Mr. African Dreaming, check him out. And I was taking a break from doing some projects, as you saw earlier, if you watched my earlier videos. And I caught some of his live about what's going on with TikTok. So I'm talking about that, talking about aquaponics and the importance of off-grid infrastructure and how all this stuff ties in to what's going on in the world today. And over here is 2 of my other farms. Each one of these is a farm. Each one of these has a 100-gallon tank. Each one of these has its own 2 very important filters. And if you watch my earlier video today, there's some more, a lot of hydrogen clay pebbles. I have to get more of this stuff. And lots of those pots, 35-gallon pots. I got a great sale during the winter. They were getting rid of them. So, and here's some more grow beds. As I was saying earlier, I'm going to go backwards here a little bit. I like to jump around. So that's how I do my little talk about my journeys. That's one of the great big grow beds I was referring to earlier today. That those 35-gallon DIY aquaponic fruit tree pots that I made with bill siphons, they'll sit in here. They'll sit in one of these large grow beds, and they'll drain into these grow beds. The grow bed will be on top of a sump. The sump is where all the water goes from the fish tank and back to the fish tank. So this sump, the grow bed will drain into the sump. You don't see the sump here. So the sump sits below one of those grow beds, and the water is pumped from the sump back into the tank clean. That's the cycle I was kind of explaining, give you guys an idea. So talk about a few things. Let's go back to talking about aquaponics and how it ties into what's going on in the world, so forth, especially here in Texas. It's very important to have your own type of power when doing aquaponics. Matter of fact, I highly recommend that you have off-grid power when doing aquaponics, because if you don't, especially here in Texas, you're setting yourself up for failure, because the power grid is going to go down. It's not when, it's just a matter of time. We've experienced it. We experience it here all the time. Even when a rough storm comes through, my house power grid goes down. So, and fish need air. Fish need air. They have to have oxygen in the water. As you hear right here, this is a mini aquaponic system. This is just a mini version of one of these big ones. It's one of the mini ones I had inside the garage. This is a mini version. And in that mini version, you have an air stone powered by a 1-watt mini air pump. These things are awesome. And I power this 1-watt mini air stone with this USB bank. This will last for 2 weeks. And I charge this with my solar generator from the sun for free. This solar generator is also powering my small DIY sponge biofilter you see right there with the K1 media in the back there. So, and everything's, and this is powering, the generator is also powering this 14-watt air pump, which puts out a massive amount of air, only 14 watts. So it's very important you're doing aquaponics is not to oversize your equipment. You want to buy very efficient equipment that sips energy, because this whole system is ran off grid. It's not plugged into the power grid here, and that's important. It's very important, because if the power goes out and you don't have your own DIY solar generator, or you don't have to do your own DIY solar generators. You can buy the plug and play out the box ones. You can do those too. If you don't want to build your own, just buy those. But you're going to need off-grid power. And my system is all ran off-grid. And that's important. Very important. And that ties back into what's going on with this TikTok issue. And I've been following this. TikTok is huge. I don't consider myself a content creator. I've already said that many times. I consider myself a journey creator, because these are journeys to me. These are actual journeys that I'm going through in my life. DIY solar, DIY aquaponics. These are journeys, life journeys. So I call myself a journey creator. But I'm looking at these content creators. There's content creators on TikTok who have hundreds of thousands of followers. They're doing this full time. They're making some of these guys are making a lot of good money. They're making thousands a month. Some of them are making hundreds of thousands a month, from what I'm understanding. So imagine you found your perfect job, and then our government comes and just possibly takes it away from you. Now, it's just crazy. It shows you, it ties in back to being self-sustainable, having off-grid power, being self-sustainable as possible. And say you're codependent on that income. You have a fancy house, you have fancy cars, you have this great lifestyle because you're a huge content creator on TikTok. All of a sudden, it's taken from you. What are you going to do? Did you save any of that money? Did you save? I wonder if any of these content creators making all this money, did they ever think that this could happen? Did they have a plan B? Were they saving the money? Were they investing it? Were they paying off their mortgage? Were they buying some land so they can live off grid and be self-sustainable in case it happened, and continue on with their lives? Or did they just blow it all? They blow it all. That ties back into being self-sustainable. Like I was saying before, each one of these is a farm. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to be growing so much food with this system. That's the plan. And to be self-sustainable is important. The way the country is going, the way our government's moving, they can take your job just like that. It's TikTok. These politicians can play with you as if you're sheep, as if you're puppets. Nothing you can do about it if you don't plan for it. You don't plan for it. So let's look at these peppers. Let's talk about these peppers. Let's talk about this little mini system. One of the ones that was, and I'm waiting. My fish are going to be shipped tomorrow, they told me. So I'm looking forward to getting 80 new baby fish bluegill in here, because I'm going to need that nitrite to be converted into nitrate to feed this growing pepper plant. And look at this pepper plant. Look at all the blooms on it. I grew this from seed, aquaponically. Look at my other videos. This is one of the ones I grew from seed, one of the two. And look at it. Look at it. Imagine not being able not to water. Don't have to worry about watering your plants, your vegetables, fruits, because with aquaponics, it waters itself. Look at that. In here, I showed in my other video, is a bell siphon. It's like a 6-inch bell siphon. And what that bell siphon does, depending on how much water you have incoming into your pot, like this one is controlled by this valve that I put on there. I adjust this valve to determine how much water goes in here, and that determines the time, how much time it takes to flood and drain. If I want it to flood and drain real fast, I'll turn this water all the way up, let the max water come out from this little pump in here. It's only a 3-watt pump too, and the faster the water comes out, the faster this will fill up, and the faster it'll fill and drain. If I only want it to go maybe drain once an hour, I slow down the water, and then it'll fill up and drain once an hour because the water's coming out slower. And you don't want, that's what you don't want. The thing about this is, with a bell siphon, your roots don't become root rot from sitting in the water, because the roots need oxygen. So the bell siphon, it drains and allows oxygen, the roots, to dry out and get oxygen. Then it fills back up. That way you don't get root rot. So you don't have to worry about root rot with aquaponics, because whether you're using a bell siphon or a continuous flow bed, so I'll be doing that too, you put air stones in that for the roots, you don't have to worry about root rot. So imagine not having to water anything. I don't have to water anything. This is self-watering. Once I have the system set up, I don't have to do anything but feed the fish. I have to monitor it now. I have to monitor it for, you know, your pH levels, your nitrate levels, make sure your equipment's, you know, nothing's breaking down and so forth. But, you know, that is the benefit of doing aquaponics, is that it's so much labor, it's less labor intensive. There's no digging in the ground, there's no tilling, there's no a whole lot of bending, a whole lot of lifting. There's none of that with aquaponics. Once you get your system built, the infrastructure is the most important part with aquaponics. The infrastructure. The upfront cost is going to cost you a little bit more. And if you're a DIY person like me, you know, you're not paying thousands of dollars going out and buy a plug and play aquaponics system. You're building your own and you're saving thousands of dollars, and then you can repair it. And in most cases, my system probably runs better than the big box systems that you buy from the store, hydroponic stores, pay thousands for. So that's just a little more knowledge about aquaponics and so forth, and how those pots I made will sit in the grow bed again. Like I said, it'll sit in the grow bed 6 inches above. The water will go back into the grow bed. The grow bed will drain back into the sump. The sump will pump the water back into the fish tank clean, and then it'll go through the fish waste will go back through these filters and feed the plants, the fruit trees, and all the other plants again that I have in the grow beds. It's a closed loop system. It's that simple. It's not complicated. Nitrite being converted to nitrate, the plants eat the nitrate and clean the water and put the water back into, oxygenated water goes back into the fish tanks, and the fish are happy. So I can't express how important it is to have your own power source, especially if you're doing aquaponics. You're not going to be able to do aquaponics if you don't have off-grid power. I would recommend it. It's just nice, you know, to have independent power. You know you're going to have power if the grid goes down, and your fish are going to be fat and healthy. All your food's going to keep growing. Doesn't matter what the power does, because you got your own. And you can sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Aren't they beautiful? Look at that. Aquaponically grown. And I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking, this is a major crisis. If this thing goes south and they decide to shut Tik Tok down, force the Chinese to sell it to some American investors, and it goes haywire somewhere, you're talking about millions of people could lose they're self-employed. They can lose their businesses, their content, social media businesses. I mean, this is real serious. we're talking about millions of people can lose income. So this goes back to being self-sustainable. You know, we don't know what could happen in the future. Anybody can lose their job or anything. Do you have a backup plan? Do you have a backup plan in case somebody comes and pulls the rug right out front of you and you had no control because the politicians are politicking and playing games? So it all ties in together. And I'm going to leave it at that. And I hope everybody's having a good night. I'm enjoying it. I just like sitting out. And I'm just looking forward to growing a lot of more food aquaponically, having my own fish to eat, fruits and vegetables to eat, all from these systems. And no matter what, I'll survive because I have a plan B. This is the plan B. This is part of it. Because at the end of the day, I always say, this is a journey for me. I'm not a content creator. I'm a journey creator. This is serious for me. This is a lifestyle. Because you know what? At the end of the day, nobody's coming to save us. Until next time.